I'm Loretta, and I just wanted to let you know a little bit about myself before you watch this video. I've been teaching paint parties here, and I'm with the Idaho Watercolor Society.
Start with the mason jar, and I'm going to use this little brush today. It's a very small number 4, and I'm going to start with this turquoise color, and I'm just going to start working on the mason jar. And we're just going to paint around it. Now it's a clear jar, so I don't want to paint it all. I'm just going to outline it. Now I do have the outline I already drew onto my watercolor paper, and I like to do that. Usually I trace it. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of blend these a little. Just kind of blend that down. And I'm just going to blend it. Now this paper that I have here today is not a very expensive paper, so you will notice that the paint doesn't soak into it. It kind of sits on top, but I just thought I'd do this exercise with you. Okay, and then we've got a line across, which is the table. I'm going to use a little bit of yellow for the table in the background. And the jar is there. So usually when you're looking through glass, you'll see there's a little difference in where the line is. It might be a little higher. Okay. I love painting lavender. It's really fun. So we're just going to leave that like that for now. And I'm just going to blend a little of the yellow down here. Oh, that color, I have a lot of color on there. That's all right. I'm going to need to put a little bit through the jar. And we'll add some blue in here later. All right, and then let's work on the lavender flowers. I've got green for the stems. So we'll put some stems here. And they're going to be going down through the jar. Okay, I'm just going to lightly take it there so it looks like it's inside. And this one is over here. And we'll take this up here, comes up there. I'll do this here, up here, this way. Okay. Now for the lavender, I like to use different colors. I usually start with the darker color. Now a lot of people like to work with lighter colors first with watercolor. You can do it either way. I like working with the dark ones, and I'm just going to be putting lavender flowers like this. And that's usually a little smaller on top of the flower, and then it gets bigger as we go down. So I'm starting with the dark color, which would be like the shadows. And you'll see when I show you how I paint grapes and cherries, I like to do the shadow parts first. So I tend to use the dark colors first. Most watercolor artists don't do it that way. They'll start light and work dark. But it's just what I like to do. Okay, I'm going to speed this up for you. So I've got the darkest purple there. I've got a light purple. I'm going to add a little bit of the red. And in the meantime, while that's sort of drying, I'm going to come back and work a little bit on my jar. I'm going to use my big brush, but not too wet. What I'd like to do is add just a little touch of this blue, but not real dark, just to give it a little more of a feeling that it is a jar. So I'm just putting a little bit of the blue in there, okay? And we're going to work on the shadow. So the jar is sitting on a shadow. I'm going to use a little purple. And it just, what you want to do with the shadow, it's darker and then it gets a little lighter. And it's just to have whatever object you just painted, it just kind of sits it down there so it's not just floating into space. So we're just going like that. There's our little shadow, and I am going to add a touch of the blue in there because it would be reflecting from the jar. Okay, let's go back to our lavender flowers. Now this color is lavender, so I'm going to use some of that. Now it's more of an opaque, it's not a transparent watercolor. And you'll see it just, it's got some white in it. So it is not transparent, but it's perfect for lavender flowers. Usually the lavender flowers are a little smaller on the very tip. So I'm just adding some of that. I love lavender. There's a really nice lavender farm in Eagle, Idaho called Red Chair Lavender. And I like to go there and teach paint parties because it's so fun. We sit outside and it's so relaxing, and they have all sorts of little animals running around. It's a wonderful place. It's called Red Chair Lavender. And on my Etsy store, you'll see I have some paintings on there that you could paint. You could get the tracer and you'll get the photo and instructions. You'll get a supply list, all sorts of stuff. And it's to paint the scenes at Red Chair Lavender. I've got one with the red chair in the lavender fields, another one of all the lavender fields, and hot air balloons flying overhead, because we do have a lot of hot air balloons here, which are really fun. There's a hot air balloon festival in August in Boise. And I love hot air balloons. They come outside. A lot of mornings I wake up and I look outside and they're right outside my window. It's so cool. So I'm adding the lavender flowers. And as you notice, you just kind of put them where you want them. There's no rules. I didn't even really draw them out. I just kind of put some lavender where I wanted. I'm going to bring some, have it fall down. And I'll add a little more of the darker color. And I'm going to add some bright pink color. It's a rose, quinacridone rose, one of my favorite colors that I use. And we're just going to brighten up some of the lavender a little, even though there probably really isn't any of this color in the real lavender flowers. I just like to add it in my watercolors for fun, but you don't need to. Okay, so that's a quick painting with watercolor. And you notice what we did. We kept that sort of translucent, the jar. You can see the table through it. I might even add a little more yellow back here in the jar and kind of make it a little lighter. And that's it. So thank you for watching. I'm going to make this just a little darker before we leave where the lines are. And if you'd like to, please subscribe. I'm going to have a list of my favorite watercolor paper and paints. You could get that just by clicking on the link, and I would happily send it to you. I also have a link for my favorite supplies for working with the acrylic paints. So once again, thank you for watching. I look forward to painting with you next time, and please do subscribe or hit like